The other day I was talking to someone and they were talking about experimenting with the universe. What they meant was that they wanted to test the universe. Test the universe whether it's safe. Test the universe whether if they have a certain desire, whether they can get there, whether they can fulfill that desire. And this was very important for that person because, as for most of us, when we think about the universe, when we think about life, for many of us, the victim archetype comes up, and we feel like the universe is against us. We feel like the universe does not have our best interest at its heart, right? And so we have this micromanager in us, this sneaky manager that comes up and starts managing everything in life. You know, that part of you needs to know how things unfold. That part of you cannot stand the unknown. That part of you is the part of you that will come up and will have to figure out everything. It will even come and tell the universe what you want, because there's maybe a belief that it has that the universe doesn't have its best interest at heart. The universe is not listening. The universe doesn't know exactly what it wants, right? And if you have this element, I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have this manager inside of them. If you have that, and maybe you're tired, you're tired of all that managing, you're tired of all that hypervigilance, and you're tired of feeling like you're always alone, and you're always battling against life. You always have to be so attentive to all the little details, because if you forget one little thing, if that slips your mind, then you know there is going to be so much work, so many consequences you'll have to pay, and then there's so much correcting to do, and so on and on and on, and it's just too much, right? And so if you are in a moment like that, maybe it's time to test the universe. Maybe it's time to put that challenge out there, to ask yourself whether this universe is actually cruel. Maybe it's time to ask yourself maybe it's time, before you ask that question, to be very honest about the way you perceive the universe. Because at this point, many people, if I tell them, okay, you see the universe as cruel, there's a fear that grips some people, and they're like, no, I shouldn't be saying that. So, no, that's not true. I think it's nice, and it's a load of crap, because that's not true. Because there is almost a fear to say out loud, to admit to the fears and the doubts that many of us have with regards to the universe, with regards to life. We won't say it, but then our actions speak out loud what we actually believe in, right? And the belief is that we can't trust the universe. And so maybe that's true. Maybe it is. And maybe it's time to question that. And maybe you've tried to, question, maybe you've already asked that question before, because it's a huge question, right? So before you actually ask that question, just listen to me first, and then you'll decide yourself whether you want to do this. Because it's not something light, it has consequences. These kind of questions have huge consequences. And the thing is that maybe you've already asked this question. If you ask a question like this, and it comes from a genuine place, and many times, these kind of questionings come in moments of despair, in moments of sadness, in a crisis and all that. And so in that moment, they're really genuine ones. And so a genuine response will come back. And it's not the response that you think it will be. Because the response that you will get in that moment is that you will be assailed by all the proof, all the evidence that this universe is not safe. It's baffling, right? That this comes up, because you'd think, okay, you're asking whether this universe is safe, and so a part of you would be like, okay, so now you're going to get all the evidence that it's safe. No, that's not the way it goes. It goes completely the other way, which is you will be given all the evidence that it's not safe. And your first reaction will be to try to bolt from there, right? It's going to be, okay, so the universe is not safe. You will be filled with fear, with the doubt. It may be even almost crippling, because we're going into safety. So, we're going into your instincts will come up. You will see things that will disconcert you and things like that. And the believer in you will take it literally, because the believer in you is like, yeah, you see, here is proof. So, so it's true. And you go away, right? And you bolt and you run away, or you start, attacking, whatever. But let me tell you why this happens. The reason why this happens is that when all that evidence comes up, it's not real evidence. It's your evidence. It's your doubts. It's your fears. It's everything that is keeping you from seeing the safety in this universe. So what is coming up is, as you ask, that there's that genuine question whether this universe is safe. Inside of you, there is a desire for this universe to be safe. And that's what you want. So when you want that, everything that is in resistance to it, everything that opposes this, will rise to the surface and will stare at you. And this is impersonal. In the moment, it doesn't feel like it, but let me just explain what I mean by that. It is impersonal data that is coming up. And in that moment, that's where you choose. So if in that moment you look at that data, that information that comes, and you remain a believer, you're like, yeah, it's true, and you run away from it. Now that's the system, that's the universe that you're going to live in. That's the universe that that will come in your life over and over again. Because that's what you believe. That's what you're seeing. That's the belief system, the thoughts inside of you from which you will perceive everything in life. And, there's this recurring patterns that come, right? So if you ask this question, it will come over and over again, right? It's recurrent. And the recurrent part of it, for most of us, it's annoying, right? Why is it happening over and over again? But if you start seeing that the universe is actually safe, It's benevolent. When you start seeing it from this perspective, you start seeing that every time that information comes up, it's a point of choice. Where that information comes up, it says, do you believe in that? Is this what you want to live by, right? Or not? And that's the impersonal part of it. It's not going to judge you for it. I mean, you can believe in it for as long as you want. It's okay, right? Or is it something else that you want? And if it is something else that you want, in that moment, you need to face that fear. You need to face that evidence. So when you see all that evidence coming up, it's actually a great moment. Because that's a moment of power. It's a moment where you see that evidence and you face it. Let me start again. You see, usually when you see that evidence, you see a glimpse of that evidence and you run away. And that glimpse looks like this huge thing. But if you go towards it, if you plunge into it and you start questioning it, you let it go through you, you'll start seeing that evidence is, it's like, it's not enough. It's one little thing there, right? And suddenly you become more curious because you're like, okay, this is the evidence, okay. And then the more you go into it, the less sense it makes, the less evidence it becomes. And then suddenly you'll start seeing other evidence that will show you something completely different. And maybe then afterwards another evidence will come, and this one, man, it's going to trigger you. But as you plunge into it, you'll start seeing that, oh my God, okay, I did not see this. I did not see this about myself. I didn't realize something else. So you start seeing that evidence in itself is like a bridge showing you helping you expand, letting you know more about you, about the universe, about a certain limitation that you have, maybe a certain wound that you have, that you've been operating by for years now, and maybe it's time to let go. And maybe you'll start seeing things like the words that you use. Maybe there are certain words that you use that automatically make you smaller or make you a victim in this universe. You will start seeing how you perceive the universe, right? Maybe you perceive the universe from the standpoint of a child, right? So you're small here and there's the universe out there, you know, and maybe in your eyes, in your mind, that universe has a beard and is, you know, and he's older, you know, and he's out there. And that's daddy universe. And maybe the way you live life is from this perspective of a child where daddy universe is going to give me what I want. So I'm not going to take responsibility for my desires. I'm just going to wait, right? And maybe that's what's making you feel like a victim, because you're just sitting and, you know, you're not consciously going towards what you want. You're not consciously stating what you need. And you're just saying, okay, you know, the universe knows better. And what happens in that moment when you say the universe knows better, what you're doing is you're giving your power to your shadow. And so your shadow will start, you know, creating life around you, right? Maybe you'll start seeing that you are in a relationship where you feel victimized. And maybe that relationship is showing something about you. Through that, let me say it another way. Through that relationship, the universe is showing something to you. And it's maybe the fact that you're not seeing that is keeping you stuck there, because you're not receiving what is given to you, right? So there is a lot of things that will come up. And that's why I said, when you ask a question like that, it's a huge question. And so Caroline Myss calls it a prayer. And there's something about that. And it's not something to be taken for granted, because that prayer will be answered, right? Especially if it comes from a place of despair, of sadness, etc. When there's that strong, when that desire of yours comes out very vividly, or very strongly, then it will be answered. And again, when that answer comes, it's not that you had better brace yourself in that moment. But it's not that you're bracing yourself against the universe, but you're bracing yourself because so many parts of you that you don't know will come up. It's actually you coming up. It's like all these parts that that are inside of you, that are just coming out from the dungeon of the shadow of the unconscious, right? And so that will feel like an earthquake. But if you're ready for that, if you really want to know whether this universe is safe, because you're tired of feeling like a victim, you're tired of feeling powerless, you're tired of having to fight life every moment of your life, then maybe, it's time to ask that question. And maybe that's the time also to, start facing all those fears, all those doubts, and letting them in. And as they come, welcome them, go towards them, and see each one of them as your bridge, as your step towards a feeling of safety in this universe. I hope this was clear. Let me know if you have any questions. And see you in my next video.